Hi, Patrick. I'm happy that you're here. How are you?
I'm alright, so how are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. So we are here at the World Tech Summit in Berlin. Why do you think that the political technology nowadays is a relevant topic?
It's a super relevant topic because, as society evolves and as communications evolve and as people become more and more adjusted really to having politics on their phones, in their lives, in their feeds on a daily basis, so the technology around that becomes an important part of that conversation. And what we've been looking at recently is how publics are responding to changing information environments, how they view the ideas that we perhaps maybe should be regulating these sorts of things, how they think about their own usage of technology and its interaction with politics, and the demands that they have on their governments and on civil society to the protections and guardrails around that. So I think it's fast, it's always evolving. As with so many things recently, it's not something which is in the future or something which is, coming down the line. It's in the here and now, and it's important that we understand how people think about it, how they interact with it, and what kind of things they want from society or from their governments regarding its access and usage.
What role should data play in shaping more inclusive and citizen-centric digital public services here in New York?
Yeah, I come from a data analytics company, so it was no surprise when I say very important that we should be looking at it. And I think that there are two things to this question. One is the usage of data, and one is the collection of data. And again, that's something that we can speak to quite a lot of YouGov. Obviously, we have our panels, we speak to people every day. And one of the challenges, one of the really important things about this is making sure that you have constant communications with people and that those samples are representative and that the conversations you have with them reflects their reality and reflect their real lives. You get a lot of data out there that's already public, you can monitor things, but you only really get some of this stuff by talking to people. How do you get those conversations, be the one-on-one or be in the survey format? And it's very important that data generation process is as good, as high quality, and as clear as it can, because that then leads to the decisions that should get made by it. And the data feeds into those decisions should be, I think, organic. It should be something which reflects what people actually think, how they feel, their anxieties, their hopes, their dreams, their optimisms, what they are perhaps not so optimistic about. And all of that should be sort of taken in and parceled through all decisions that are made about people. So it's about collecting the data properly, and then it's about how you package that or feed that into the conversations, particularly around digital access, particularly around inclusivity. How do we make sure that people, as AI moves forward and technology moves forward, that people aren't left out of that, and we get this sort of two-tier system of government. So I think it's about making sure we keep people in conversations, you keep having conversations with them, and you keep learning from their experiences to how you can better shape decisions being made in the future.
And this brings us to my second question, which is, what are the biggest challenges European institutions face when translating their public sentiment data into an effective political communication?
Yeah, that's a really important challenge, I think, for institutions, for governments, for political parties, for political actors, for anybody in the space really who wants to understand and talk to the public on these issues. I think one of the key things that might be getting missed is understanding when people express sentiment, what are the drivers of that, and how strongly held is that sentiment? Is this something which, they're reacting to off the top of their head, oh, I heard this thing about AI and that shaped my opinion? Or is it a very sort of deep connected thing, like, oh yeah, I used AI in work and it got it wrong, and so now I'm skeptical of that reason? So when we're measuring sentiment, I think it's important to understand what the experiences are which led to that sentiment. And then for political institutions to be able to kind of capture that and re-express that back in the communication, which speaks to the experience and the motivations, as well as to the sentiment that's been measured.
So my last question to you is, what ethical limits should public authorities set when using citizen data to inform about policy decisions?
Yeah, it's a good question. There's a lot of anxiety among the publics worldwide really about their data, their information, how that is collected, how that is used, and sort of what guardrails there are around that. And then indeed, when that gets re-expressed through things like AI, through interactive, through sort of communications given to them by AI models, be it with Grok or anything else, we've seen a lot of instances, very high profile instances recently, where people's images of themselves have been used in non-consensual ways. And there's been a lot of controversy around that, and very quick guardrails have been put up very, very swiftly by governments, or even the threat of them was enough eventually to make Elon Musk policy change there. So I think it's very, very, very important that that is a two-way conversation.
Okay.
In terms of public opinion, the public have some quite clear demands. A lot of our data is suggesting that are very, very high, very strong regulatory demands, and they don't mind that as a trade-off for growth. If you put to them, well, if we have these regulations, then we might slow down growth, it might slow down development, it might slow down research. They basically turn around and say, I don't care, because they have some pretty strong desires about their own data, their own likeness, their own information not being sort of to pass through to every single system possible and then re-expressed back to them in a different form of content. So there's a lot that the public wants. I don't get the sense that politicians or parties or governments are there in terms of where the public want them to be. I think there was a big gap there, and part of the policy challenge and part of the political challenge for everyone involved in this space is going to be to try and marry those two together.
Thank you so much. See you next time.